So one thing I love about this fandom is the wacky theories that we end up seeing pretty much every week or every other week about Dragon Ball and what is to come. Some of these theories are really, really fun. Some of them are really, really, not very well thought out. Some of them are really cool, but I almost am tempted sometimes to start a video series called, Geekdom Talks About Weird Dragon Ball Theories. But I want to talk about this one now because, we had the Super Saiyan Bola one a few weeks ago, and this one here is, of course, coming off of Dragon Ball Super Episode 86, where we got not just the return of Android 17, but the other big story coming out of that episode was that Oob was mentioned for the second time in the history of Dragon Ball Super. First time was in Episode 30, second time was here, and MJ, Geeklist TV, who is, a member of the Geekdom 101 staff, even though he has his own channel, which you should, of course, check out, informed me, because I actually hadn't seen this until he showed it to me, that there's a theory now in the fandom that Android 17 has... first of all, Android 17 has 3 children. 2 adopted, 1 biological. That is not the theory. We know that to be true because not only was that said by Toriyama in an interview ages ago, 17 himself said it in the episode. But now fans of Dragon Ball have been saying that what if Oob is 17's kid? And when I first heard this theory, it was like, huh? So MJ, first of all, welcome. How are you?
I'm doing good, Danny, and I was surprised when I hit up you and you told me you had not heard it at all because I got hit up with it a few times. In fact, I got a whole paragraph sent to me about Oob being one of 17's adopted children. But yeah, I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm all right, man. And of course, I was at Star Wars Celebration most of the weekend, so I did not get to interact with the subs as much as I, with the Geek Army as much as I normally do. So I apologize for that, guys. I was way too busy doing things, networking over there at Celebration, having a good time as a fanboy. So of course, if you sent that to me, I didn't see it. I'm just now catching up. And, of course, Geek List is here. We're going to talk about it here in this podcast-esque video. So the theory of 17 being Oob being one of 17's adopted kids, this is a weird one because, yes, Oob was mentioned, 17 returned. There's no connection, though, except for the fact that they were there. Now, we've gone back and we've rewatched the episode with the Crunchyroll subs, double-checked with Herms. 17 does not actually state this. He does not state that Oob is his kid. Dende says, super strong kid, but I don't think he meant super strong child of 17, but some people think that he did. So, do you mind reading the comment, that paragraph comment that you got? I'm curious about that.
Okay, well, someone sent this to both Herms and myself, and he said, is it a coincidence that in episode 86, we are being told that Oob lives in a small town, that 17's family is not on the island because he's working away from home? And that is correct. His family does not live on the island that 17 actually works on. And he has 2 adopted kids. Goku doesn't know what Oob looks like since they will meet for the first time at the end of Z, so could Oob be one of 17's adopted kids? I think people are getting this a bit mixed up, D, because people are just getting the idea that Dende said, Oob in this episode that, maybe there's a connection. I don't think so, because 17 mentions his family lives on another island. Dende says there's a boy with great martial arts potential that lives in a small village. I don't think there's really too much of a connection there. You know what I mean?
Well, it's a funny theory, but it's one of those theories where, and again, it's one of those things where sometimes people will come up with a connection that's not really there. We've seen it in the Dragon Ball fandom. We've even seen it in other fandoms too. It's not just Dragon Ball, Star Wars, other anime. And I get, some of the speculation, but with this one, though, if you just analyze the facts, it's like you're making a correlation that's not really there. And it does sometimes bug me when I see this because, look, couple of reasons as to why Oob cannot be 17's son, all right? Number one, what you just said, all the stuff you just said. Number two, if Oob was one of 17's adopted children, it doesn't make sense because if you watch the end of Z, not only do they actually state that, and by the way, for those wondering, the end of Z is Dragon Ball Z episodes 289, 290, and 291, or the last couple chapters of the manga when you first meet Oob. It's stated that Goku's Oob's family is very poor. Oob is from a village, and he has to feed his village and whatnot. That's stated in the manga and anime.
Yeah.
17's not poor. Also, I find it very difficult to believe that this is the case because they never once said at the end of Z that 17 is, his dad. Like, I feel like if 17 was Oob's dad, that Goku would have said, "Oh, I know about your dad, 17." Like, that wasn't stated. Also, I'm pretty sure that Goku, makes fun of Oob's parents during their fight. And, I mean, I know he's trying to antagonize him, but I just have a weird feeling that if it was 17, we would have heard it was 17 by now. It's just a weird correlation that fans are making that I don't think there's anything to it, man. What can you add to that?
I mean, just to really back up what you're saying is that, 17 turned down 10 million zenny. This dude ain't poor, and this ain't the first time we've heard of it. During the Q&A that Toriyama mentioned where the artificial humans can train, he did mention even back then that the job that 17 works, he makes a very high salary. So 17 by no means is poor. He's making bank. He's making that cash. You know what I mean? So, there's
not just that, but he doesn't seem like the kind of guy, based on what we've seen, that would live in like a small village. That's just not the kind of guy. You know what's wacky though? Have you seen the theory about how Oob? Again, this is just like a weird theory, but there's that whole theory where Oob is actually like the son of Namu. I've heard that before. Because they're both they have that Middle Eastern kind of look to them. But again, that's just a correlation based on how they look. It doesn't mean anything. But I would rather believe that than believe that it's 17's kid. There's just no evidence here, MJ. There's other than they're in the same episode. It's just an ass pull theory. And one thing about this fandom that I think needs to my opinion needs to change is people having these theories that don't correlate. The idea behind a theory. Okay, let's look at the word theory for just a moment here. Theory is used in science a lot, and the definition of the word theory, the actual definition of it, is I can't even say this word, a supposition or a system of ideas intended to explain something, especially one based on general principles independent of the thing to be explained. So what that basically means is that every theory has to have some kind of groundwork, some kind of ground level, and I don't think that this theory can stand on anything because there's no grounded base for this. The only similarities is that they were in the same episode and they had nothing in common. There's so much going against this that it's not even a freaking theory. It's it's bad. It's really, really bad. It's not a theory. It's not a fact or even remotely true. I mean, I'm sure some people out there could say something like, maybe 17 goes broke and moves to a village. I don't think so. I feel like if 17 lost his job, he would probably pull an 18 and figure out a way to make money. I just don't. I can't agree. I personally cannot agree.
Plus, I just feel like it has no ground to begin with because just think of when it's mentioned in the very first episode, it comes out of Dende's mouth. I feel like Dende would have mentioned it. He, instead of saying, "Oh, there's some boy off in the faraway village that has martial arts skills," he would have said, "Oh, one of 17's kids is super strong." You know what I mean? Or he would have mentioned one of 17's adopted kids is the freaking reincarnation of Majin Buu. That's a pretty big thing to mention,
I mean, to be honest with you, look, real talk. I think it would be kind of cool. It would be, again, and that's the problem with some of these theories is that a lot of fans, rather than actually, and this, I don't like this, but some people do it, rather than actually sit down and think of a good actual theory, that's not what they do. It's it becomes, wouldn't it be cool if? And the problem is that wouldn't it be cool if only works if it makes sense. Goten being Goku Black, wouldn't it be cool if? No, it wouldn't because it's stupid. Wouldn't it be cool if it doesn't work for a theory? That's not what a theory is. In this situation, I think Oob being 17's kid would be cool because it's a cool way to tie those characters, but there's so much evidence against it that if somebody tries to make an argument for it, I'm just going to laugh because there's not even a clue to any of this. Oob is unrelated. Now, one thing the guy did say was, "Oh, well, is it a coincidence?" The answer is, in my opinion, No. I do think that they mentioned Oob for a reason. I do think that very soon, again, this is this is a theory. This is not, this is actually my theory based on where the series is going and the direction it's going in now, 80 some episodes in. I think after this arc, we're going to get a time skip to the end of Z and beyond. I do believe that now. They can't stay in this time zone, this 10-year time skip time forever. And the fact they're mentioning Oob again, I don't know. Unless it's just an Easter egg for the fans, what else could they do?
I mean, I kind of get what you're saying because think about it. Brawl was just recently born. It's like, how long can they stay in this time frame? You know what I mean? They got to kind of get the wheel moving again and kind of go past the whole end of Z stuff. So it just kind of makes sense that they would bring them up right now because you could be onto something. Brawl was recently born. Pan's probably turning 1 or 2 soon. So it just seems logical, I would think.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. So this theory does not hold up. Let us know in the comments if you have any thoughts, not just on this theory, but if you actually have some kind of actual evidence to support it. I just don't see it, and maybe I'm the idiot. Maybe I'm not seeing it, but just, again, there's just too much evidence to tell us otherwise. Check out Geek List TV, of course. Link is down below, and thank you for being here.
Yeah, man. It was awesome.
All right, and thank you guys, as always, for checking out this little mini podcast here. More videos coming. Thank you for your continued support of Geekdom 101, and I'll talk to you guys later.